To do with proof of funds, Jim. I think obviously there will be some active people on the ground level at City that might try to put some sort of a spin on it, but I don't think that the top management really believe that, because two clubs that are FIFA clubs have and join the FIFA members. I mean, it would be almost impossible for Corinthians not to pay. They're the largest club in Brazil, and if there was any issue with that, then I think it would almost be like Barcelona or Real Madrid or Man United or someone like that not paying. So, one of the largest clubs in South America with that kind of revenues, I don't think that would be an issue. I do know that from speaking to Corinthians that City did ask them for a bank guarantee, and their response was that would not be a problem if that's the way City normally do business, and City have issued bank guarantees on their previous purchases. They would like to see a copy so that they could send it to their bank and get the same thing. But Corinthians' point was there would be no point in doing so unless their offer was agreed, and unless they could agree an offer with City, then what would Corinthians go and ask? What kind of a guarantee would they ask for? So I think that was the complication. I do think they were very, very close. I think that, if there was literally, maybe 3 or 4 days left in the market, then they could have completed it. Unfortunately, time ran out. They didn't complete it. City clearly have an intention of selling Carlos, and I think that now it's going to be a little bit more complicated on where he goes.
So as far as Corinthians were concerned, Kia, time ran out on the deal. You'll no doubt have spoken to Carlos. Is he disappointed?
Well, I think Carlos is a very calm person. I mean, again, he's neither disappointed or happy. I think he's a very calm person. He waited to see how the deal would be structured. He tried to keep out of it in terms of making any sort of moves or insisting anything. And well, now he'll go on his holiday after the Copa America, and we shall wait and see what happens after.
So what will happen now, Kia? Is there any other interest from South America which would allow him to be closer to his family? And if there is, can it be done by 4 a.m.?
No, it's almost impossible. The reason it's impossible is because in South America, you would literally have to agree a deal a day before. It's not 4 a.m. The market closes at 7 o'clock there, which would mean somewhere around 11 o'clock our time. But the problem is that there is a rule in South America that you have to pay a tax. The tax has to be with the federation at least 12 hours before the transfer is made, which is why Corinthians knew last night that if they couldn't report the deal at least by the early hours of this morning, 7 o'clock this morning or 8 o'clock this morning, it would be almost impossible for them to make the transaction. And since they had to then do a medical on the player and all of those things, on a deal like Carlos, which is a very big deal, even by any standards around the world, but especially by South American standards, it would be almost impossible to do so in 7 or 8 hours.
So, Kia, out with South America, City say they would want 50 million. Very few clubs could afford that kind of money in Europe. So what now?
I mean, I think now it's not a time to speculate. There was a concrete offer on the table. The offer was very close to being negotiated and agreed. Unfortunately, it didn't go through. And now I don't think there's really, speculation from our standpoint. He's still a City player. He will respect that, and he has to respect City, and we respect City, and we will keep it like that until there's something else concrete on the table.
What chance, Kia, he ends up staying with City?
Again, this is all speculation at the moment, Jim. The market is literally only 2 weeks since it's opened. You've got another 6 weeks left, so anything can really happen from here onwards.
Anything might, Kia. Chelsea fans everywhere in London tell me he's joining them. Nonsense or a possibility?
No, there's no contact with Chelsea at all.
If Aguero joins City, might that persuade Carlos that his future still is in the northwest of England?
No, I don't think Carlos's future has got nothing to do with other players. I mean, Carlos is an individual that's very much bases himself around his happiness and his view of how the club has, and I don't think it has anything to do with anyone joining or leaving any club that changes Carlos's mind.
So work now still goes on behind the scenes to in some way and somehow secure a move away from City to one of the big guns in world football.
No, I think Carlos is a very big and important player at the moment. Clearly, his achievements last season in the Premier League proved him to be one of the top players in the Premier League, as well as around the world. And I think that he's calm now. He's on holiday. He will remain on holiday for a few weeks. Probably a well-deserved one because he had a very long season at City and then had to play in the Copa America. And we shall wait and see how the rest of the 6 weeks span out.
Kia, just to finish with, and we do appreciate your time tonight, one
Sure.
player who has left City and is on the move is Joe, and
Sure.
he's headed to South America. Is that good business and a good move for him?
Well, I think, it just shows you that, the South American market, in particular Brazil, I should say the Brazilian market, has really improved, and it's really probably one of the best markets at the moment across the world. I mean, it's in terms of strength. You've got lots and lots of players going back. You have a lot of players who are there that are in big demand who don't want to leave that market. I think Neymar was recently quoted as not wanting to leave. And it just shows you that, Brazilian football is really changing. They're competing with Europe. They're competing both in salary and transfer budgets. And I think, there'll be a lot to come between now and 2014 out of Brazil.
Kia, very interesting. Thanks so much for spending time with us tonight.
Thanks, Jim. Take care.
Now, we understand Manchester City will enter formal negotiations with Atletico Madrid for Sergio Aguero. The striker scored 20 times last season in 32 appearances.
Still to come this evening as England and India go head-to-head for the world #1 spot. Andrew Strauss tells us why the series is as big as the Ashes.